learn one way or another, find a way to have someone show you or figure it out, or whatever. Get comfortable with being able to have the paperwork and documents that you can make an offer on a property that ties it up where you have no obligation whatsoever to move ahead. That takes away the fear of, is this the right building? Do I know the numbers? Do I have to have everything right before I actually get out there and get? Guess what? If it's a great deal, and you don't tie it up right away, someone else is going to get it, right?
Yeah. Welcome to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you love entrepreneurship and investing in real estate, then you are in the right place. Josh is the CEO of Freeland Ventures Real Estate Private Equity and has personally invested in well over 500 properties all across the country. He's also made hundreds of private lender loans and owns over 1,000 units of apartments. Josh is an expert at raising private money for deals, and he prides himself on never having had a boss in his entire adult life. Josh and his team also mentor investors and entrepreneurs from all over the world. He doesn't dream about doing deals. He actually does them, and so do his listeners and students. Now sit back, listen, learn, and accelerate your business, your life, and your investing with the Accelerated Investor Podcast.
So everyone, welcome back to Accelerated Investor. This is Josh Cantwell, and I am so excited to be with all of you guys. And today, I have a special treat for all of you. One of my very first early mentors in real estate, his name is Peter Conti. I will never forget, as I introduce Peter and bring him on the line, when I was a financial advisor in my mid to late 20s, I knew a lot of my clients that had money in the financial markets, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. I remember learning from them that their biggest assets, their most important assets, the most of their wealth was actually in their real estate. And I started listening and paying attention. I bought some books. One of the books was Multiple Streams of Income by Peter Conti. I read the book. I was on a plane. I'll never forget reading it. And years later, I was able to meet Peter himself at one of our kind of joint venture and affiliate summits. I've now been to Peter's house. We've been friends now for years, and I'm so excited and thrilled to have him on our podcast today. Peter is the author of Commercial Real Estate Investing for Dummies. He's done thousands of deals. He's mentored thousands of students. He's an absolute champion for real estate and for entrepreneurship. Peter, welcome to Accelerated Investor. How are you, my friend?
Hey, it's great to be on the show. And for all you tuning in, thanks for joining us.
You bet. Absolutely. So Peter is hanging out actually at his compound, if you will. And I've been to his house for masterminds. I was thrilled to be there. And Peter, what I'd love to hear about now is, because it's been a minute since you and I have really had a personal conversation, even though we've known each other for years now, but it's been a minute. So I'd love to know what you're up to today. What are you working on? What are you thrilled about? What are you excited about after all your successes? And we'll talk about your massive injury that you've had, but what are you thrilled about and working on right now?
Yeah, well, I've gone through some big changes, but I'm excited about the coronavirus. I mean, that may be, I don't know if that's popular or politically correct to say, but I am seeing just deals right now that I haven't seen numbers like this in at least 8, 10, maybe 15 years. I mean, we're just coming across stuff where the way I see it, there's people who are in two camps. There's the people that are, oh my goodness, this is going to be horrible. The economy's going to crash. People are going to stop paying their rent. We're not going to be able to evict them. That's one camp. And then the other camp is the people like I am. I think you are too. Hopefully most of our listeners are. We're understand this is a problem, a challenge. We got to work through it. But people are always going to need a place to live. Real estate is a good location. You can't go wrong. Is just such a great opportunity to get deals from these people that are scared, they're uncertain, so they become motivated sellers, and it's given us an opportunity to either acquire properties. I'm focusing on commercial, mostly apartment buildings with the people I'm working with right now, but acquire these properties, either flip them and make a quick assignment fee, or find a way to bring an investor in, maybe keep it for yourself, that type of thing. Just tremendous, more opportunity out there right now than I think any time in my entire 30 years of investing, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, that's saying a lot. And I think it depends on who you listen to, right? If you listen to real operators that are doing deals, that are in the trenches, finding deals, coaching people to do deals, raising money, a lot of those people, I just had a conversation with one of my partners in our apartment buildings, and we're so excited about what we're seeing versus the traditional news media and social media, which is all out to sell fear and, the sky is falling. And if you believe that, you have a totally different view of the world. And I wouldn't encourage people to listen to people who are actual boots on the ground. You don't have to listen to me and Peter. It'd be great if you did, but listen to people who are really doing stuff, not listening to the news media. So that's fantastic. So Peter, your latest
better advertising campaign could we get than what the news media is doing, right?
Right, for sure.
Awesome.
So Peter, your latest sort of passion and innovation is this whole idea of commercial lease options. You wrote a recent book around it. You're coaching a lot of students around it. You're finding great deals that way, but you're also finding deals that you could just buy at a discount and hold, or get under contract and wholesale. So just describe for our audience that might not know a lot about commercial deals or apartments. What is a commercial lease option? How does that work? What are the mechanics?
Commercial lease option, there's three parts to it. One is getting a property under contract. You can use a commercial master lease is one method we use. Owner financing, or buying the property subject to, I hate that name, but it means buying the property, leaving the existing financing in place. Mm-hmm. And we're also finding these days that we're getting good enough deals. One of our strategies is we just make a really low offer we know won't be accepted, and just to get the ball. And sometimes, as well as anyone, right? If there's a broker involved, you're probably not going to negotiate a creative commercial real estate transaction with the broker involved. So one of our strategies is we'll just make a standard offer, but have it be really low. And what we're finding is people, where they used to come back and say, what are you, crazy? We're not going to do that, which kind of opened the door for us to get in there and say, well, what could we do? Why don't the three of us get on a call together and maybe we can figure something out, which allows us to maybe put a creative deal together. We're finding that people are coming back and countering and way off below even what they were asking.
Yeah.
Like, well, shoot, let's just get this thing under contract. So anyways, step one is get a property. These days, I'm tending to steer people towards apartment buildings. Retail and office, as you know, is going to go through a major price correction, or at least that's my view on it. People are always going to need a place to live. So we get an apartment building under contract where you control it. You are not obligated to buy it when you use the right agreements, but they're obligated to sell it to you. In fact, we're using an agreement right now where all of the stuff in there, and depending on what they catch and they cross out, we can control a property for like 4 or 5 months, which is amazing.
Right.
So you get under contract. Then the next thing we do is we go through, I call it the 8 profit activators. We look for things that we can do to increase the value of that apartment building. And I'll just use a case study, one that we're working on right now this week. We've got a 24 unit that's under contract. We look for apartment buildings where the rents are below market. In fact, that's part of our strategy. One of the first things I have my clients do is I show them how to build a database of the commercial properties in their area. There's some awesome tools out there right now where you can get not just the property information, but you can actually get the seller's name, not just their LLC. You get their name, their cell phone number, their email address. It's insane.
Yeah.
And then we put together campaigns to reach out and do 2 things. Number 1, reach out, see if they might be interested in selling or have some motivation. Number 2, we're using other resources on the web, things like Rentometer and things like that, to do a survey, a rent survey of all the properties in that market area. And we're looking for those properties specifically that have below market rents. Mm-hmm. So for example, we found this 24 units in Western Maryland. The market rent is $800 a unit. It's all 2-bedroom units, really nice mix, very well taken care of. Was built in 1974, but it's actually a Class B property. It's been that well taken care of.
Nice.
And the market rent is for sure $800 a month. The last 5 units they rented at $800. We've got one empty. We haven't closed on it yet, but we've got the owner testing the market at $850 to see what happens. There's people in there, get this, they're paying as little as $590 a month.
Oh,
you know why they're paying so little?
They haven't. I'm going to guess it's an ownership issue. It's a property management issue. Nobody's bothering to raise the rents.
Yeah, the owner manages it himself. He knows the people. He's, well, they've been there forever and I don't want to rent. And I mean, his his laundry is at $1.75 when right down the street the laundromat's charging $3.75.
Yeah. So, my goodness.
So anyways, a profit activator number one, we're going to intelligently raise those rents up. We're going to do it in a graduated process. You got to be careful these days with the whole pandemic thing going on. You don't want to be seen as like the mean, landlord coming in and raising everyone's rents right away. The laundry, we're going to boost the laundry. There's automation processes, as you know, that where you can set up the laundry where tenants can pay with their app. No more dealing with handling quarters, or you can get a card reader thing put in there.
Right.
We found one of my favorite things to look for when I go through properties is extra space that you could rent out. Yes. And I found these doors, and behind them were in two different maintenance storage rooms that they're hardly used at all. There's like some old screens and a few odds and ends in there. Really no reason to have that. If you do have that in a property, there's plenty of room out back to put a storage shed and put the stuff out there. Those offices, each of them are going to be turned into a work-at-home office for people right now with the pandemic going on. Are you kidding me? You can rent a 2-bedroom apartment plus for another, we got to find out how much we can get, $300, maybe $350 a month. Get your own separate office.
Yeah, leave the kids and the spouse in the apartment to hang out. Let them do their learn from home schooling and just go down the hall and down the steps to your virtual office.
At $350 each, that's $700 straight to the bottom line because there's no other expenses involved in doing that.
Nice.
Other than making sure we've got to have a little heat and AC in there. But then we were looking at, okay, what else could we do? This place has a huge parking lot. There's not even lines. People just pull up and just park wherever because there's so much room. There is plenty of room to build garages, carports, storage area is going to be added to this property. All of that's going to boost the net operating income. And when we were talking to him, he was talking, this is built, solid building. It's a cinder block construction in the walls, the first 2 floors with poured cement floors. I had a building like this in Denver once where you could bounce a basketball in the apartment above. You're not going to hear it in the floor down below.
Nice.
And he was talking about how the block construction is actually built between the units and the hallway and between the units and each other. And bingo, it went through my head like that's one of the requirements if you're going to turn something into condos. So I haven't even had a chance to check on this yet and see what condos are selling for. But we've got this one under contract for just under $1.5 million, 1.475. As it sits right now with the rents where they are, it's worth almost 1.8 million. Once we do the increase in the rents, that pushes up close to 2 million. If you do some of these other things, adding the carports, the laundry, the storage rooms, over 2 million. If you do the condo thing, I've only ballparked that right now, but the rough number I came up with right away was 2.8 million.
Nice.
So, and this isn't like I know you do like, really huge deals and stuff these days. This isn't like a huge property. I mean, it's a 24 unit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But what a massive win. What a massive win. Are you ready to automate and explode your real estate investing? We're searching for extremely motivated individuals who are sick and tired of wasting time and want to finally see real results from their real estate investing business. We're searching for investors looking to get to the next level and become a bigger, better version of themselves while being a more successful real estate investing entrepreneur. Apply for mentoring and coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. That's joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. So Peter, let's back up for a minute and let's talk just 7 years ago. You had this major accident. You just said you're 60, so you're around 53 years old. You're a wild man. You like to ride dirt bikes, and you had a major accident. I was at your house probably a year or two after the accident, and you were kind of winding down a lot of your real estate thing. You were going through a lot of physical therapy. So what happened that day, and how did it change your life?
I was riding a dirt bike in my 50s, which I probably should have been smarter not to do that. I should have listened to my wife. you know, she knew the history. I mean, I used to race dirt bikes back when I was a teenager and had, you know, history of broken bones and all that stuff. But when,
it's in your
you know,
blood.
when you're 16 years old, when you go flying through the air, everything would go into slow motion. You could see everything happening, and you could like tuck your shoulder and roll and get up and dust off. You'd be like a little sore for a few days, but you know, nothing, you know, I mean, I guess I did break some bones, but nothing serious. And when you're older, all I can say is I was riding through the woods in this hare scramble. It was a race. I promised my wife I wasn't going to race, but I told myself it's just going to be like an organized trail ride. I'm not going to race. I let everyone else go ahead of me. And then these guys behind me, they like passed me. It was an 11-mile loop. They're like, ring out of my way. They passed me. I'm like, oh, I can keep up with that guy. Another guy goes, well, I can keep up with him. Before I knew it, this clipped this tree, and there wasn't any slow motion. There wasn't anything. One moment I was riding along. The next moment I was like laying on the ground. What happened? I don't know. I think my hand is broken. So I got to do the whole helicopter ride and everything. And then when they're working on me in the hospital, they put like my femur back into the hip joint that was in 23 pieces to something about protecting the cartilage. What they ended up doing is crushing the nerve in my leg. You talk about tickles. Whoa.
Oh,
the pain went on a scale of 1 to 10. It went to like 200. They kept hitting me with morphine. I'm like, can't you give me something for the pain? And the nurse is like, my wife's asking him, the nurse is like, we've given him enough to drop a horse. So anyways, they fixed me up, and it was, you know, going through the process. And what happened is my foot hurt like crazy, but my hip was what was injured. But because the nerve was crushed up there, my foot just felt like a tiger had bit down on it. And in fact, my brain reacted to that in a manner as if it was like the stone person days, where there's something wrong with my leg, and my brain shut down the blood supply. Ooh. And this pain loop they call it oversensitization. It's actually called chronic regional pain syndrome, CRPS. It creates this loop where even when there's nothing else wrong, your brain thinks there's something wrong, and so that pain is still there.
Yeah. Wow.
And in fact, the temperature, just wise from circulation in my left leg and my right leg, it's gotten better now, but at times it was like 10 degrees colder in my left leg, just from my body, like trying to shut that down to say, there's something wrong. We gotta handle that.
Wow.
So I went through a whole thing where I was on really strong opioids, got off those finally, got to a point where I was waking up every single day and my leg was killing me. And that can wear you down over time. Oh, and yeah. I never ever thought I would get this way. I thought people who thought of killing themselves were stupid. I over time, I just got to where I'm not going to live this way. I think I'm going to check out. And luckily I mentioned it to my wife. My daughter was there too. Poor Carol. We're out to eat at the Indian restaurant. I'm like, I just don't think I want to live anymore. I'm going to just, check out. And my wife is like on her cell phone calling. She's got all her connections because she's done so much stuff in her life. She had me the very next morning at this $200 an hour, the very best psychiatrist in the area, who had these amazing meds. They can do great stuff with that today. He's like, you're going to feel better this afternoon. I'm like, okay. And, he talked to me and went through this whole thing. And, do you want to live or not? I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to live. It just, So anyway.
It's just not fun right now. Yeah.
So I had that whole experience and got some great help to get. But then I was coming up on 2 years. And a nerve injury is kind of crazy because if you don't get out and move, it gets worse. It tightens up more. It hurts more. And I was having trouble just getting out the door to go walk Snickers, right? Mm-hmm. And but I realized that what I was doing wasn't working. I'd been to different doctors. I talked to 2 different neurologists at one point that said, you're never going to walk again. Don't expect to get anything back. I, of course, said, F you, I'm find a way.
Right.
And so I realized I was searching on the internet for, like a lot of people do, for answers, right? I'm like, nerve pain, leg pain, doctor. I want someone that can give me a pill, put an electric gizmo on me, pull my leg, something, just fix it, right?
Yeah.
And I realized it was going to be up to me. And it's crazy. I have a belief that you don't have to know how to solve things. You just have to know how to ask great questions. I learned this from one of my mentors, Tony Robbins. So I wrote in my journal, I wrote down, how could I turn this injury into an advantage, into a fun advantage or something like that, by making it a challenge where other people would be cheering me on. I had no idea what was going to happen. 2 weeks later, my wife and I went and saw this movie, Wild. Reese Witherspoon's character hikes the Pacific Crest Trail out on the West Coast. I started reading some books about people hiking the Appalachian Trail. I got this idea in my head that 2,190 miles all the way from Georgia to Maine, if I hiked that far, my leg would have to be better.
Yeah.
I told my wife, I said, honey, I'm going to hike the Appalachian Trail. She's like, yeah, sure thing you are. I mean, at this point, I was like laying on the chaise watching Netflix, trying not to think about it, right?
Yeah.
3 weeks later, she dropped me off the train station. I went down to Georgia, started hiking the trail down there, did 2.5 miles the first day. Kind of went up from there, had to find my own way to do it. It ended up taking me 11 months altogether. I was going slower than most people. Most people do it in 4 to 5 months. It took me 11 months. I figured out my own way to do it. I figured out, hey, I don't like getting to like the road crossing at dusk, and the town is 11 miles away where I have to go resupply and get more food. And I'm like sticking my thumb out in my 50s when I hadn't hitchhiked since I was 14.
Yeah.
So I brought my car along, and I would park my car. This is after I tried it and kind of crashed. I would park my car like 4 or 5 days ahead of time with extra supplies and all that stuff in it. And I'd pay these shuttle drivers. It cost, $100 or whatever for them to like Uber me down to where I had left the trail before. Then I'd hike. And when number one, all I had to focus on was all I have to do is get back to my car. I don't care how hard this is. In fact, if I started to think about, I've got, 1,500 miles to go or whatever, mentally, I just couldn't handle it. It was like, I can't do this.
Especially if you've never done it before. That's no different than somebody saying like, how do I accumulate 2,000 units of apartments when I have 2 rentals? I can't even wrap my head around it. So what can I do? What's a bite-sized thing I can do? And for you, it's like, my supplies are in my car. I've just got to get there.
And when it got really hard, on a hot day and I'm just really struggling, at times it got down to where I would look up and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go up to that tree up there that's 100 yards. And that's all I'm going to focus on right now. Or I'm going to get to the top of the next mountain. And that's all I think about. So, but yeah, I'd get to my car, hop in the car. I'd go stay in a nice Airbnb, go get a steak dinner, go watch a movie. I would find a pool. I'd drive and find a pool to walk in. With my injury, walking in water for some reason makes it feel better for a few days. And then, go out, do it over again, rinse, repeat.
Nice.
And made it all the way up to, it was September 25th. I summited on top of Mount Katahdin in Maine. And my wife drove up there from Maryland to meet me at the bottom and celebrated with a bottle of champagne. And so awesome experience just, for the whole adventure. I mean, because us go-getters, right, we're always focused on the future. We're thinking about security and building stuff. Sometimes we really forget to do something like that where you just walk through the wilderness and just have time to just think, I've been so blessed in my life. Thought about all the funny little things my kids did over the years I'd forgotten about. Yeah. And I thought about just kind of this big business. Well, one thing I left out was a year into my injury, my wife said, you need to focus on your injury. You need to sell your business. Why don't you sell it to your partner? So that's what I did. Turned this, had 35 employees, 17 coaches, sold off most of my investments, turned that over to my partner, let him run with it. Focused on my rehab. So now I'm walking through the woods thinking, gosh, life's been really good to me. What am I going to do after I'm done this hike? I could, I've been blessed well enough. We've got this house pretty well paid for. I don't have to do anything. But I started thinking back in the early years when I was mentoring people one-on-one. I remember coaching a gal, her name was Emily. She's on the phone. She's crying, right? Because the seller's threatening to sell her because they found an all-cash offer and they want to cancel her creative deal. I'm like, take a deep breath, Emily. It's going to be all right. It's just a real estate deal. I'll help you with it. We got the seller to pay her some money to basically, undo her deal. And she came out. We used to do this thing in Hawaii where people pay $30,000 to hang out for 5 days and really brainstorm how to, take your investing business up to the next level and all that. He matched up with 4 other clients of mine. They put together a group called the Grasslands Investing Group. And last I'd heard, they had 74 million in commercial assets that they'd acquired.
Nice. Wow.
So I realized, Josh, that I feel so lucky to have started from where I was as an auto mechanic and to get over those obstacles, that fear of like when you first go into real estate, it's like, oh my goodness, there's so much stuff. It feels overwhelming. Yeah. And to me, I was scared to death, I think, because I had 7 kids in our family. My parents said, we want you to go to college. We're not going to help you. Good luck, basically. Yeah. I mean, in nicer words than that. I didn't go to college. I didn't have a lot of options in my life. Real estate was my one ticket out, and I didn't want to blow it. My first property, I bought a duplex. I was physically shaking at the closing because I had so much desire and so much fear, and the two of them were like battling it out in my head.
Tearing you apart.
And so I realized that I feel really lucky to have made the transition that I did. And when I can help someone make that transition, but be there personally myself doing it, helping them, that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So I coached people one-on-one for a couple of years. It was $25,000 plus half the first $200,000 in profits. Had a blast. One of my students, Eric, helped him find this 19,000 square foot building in Northern California. We got it for $840,000. We did the inspection nibble, got it down to $800,000. I showed him how to bring in it was a little better than a hard money lender. We got 6% interest, no payments for the first year.
Nice.
Funding to buy it and money to fix it up. And it's most of the way leased up right now. It's slowed down a little bit with the pandemic. Most of the way leased up right now, his numbers are showing it with a value of $1.9 million. So nice. That's, you can, now that's a grand slam deal. Those don't happen. Oh, then his goal was to become the biggest, big shot, commercial guy in town. And he had a background. He had managed his father's car dealerships. So he had relationships. He had that skill. It wasn't like he was starting from absolute scratch, but he had no idea of commercial real estate. So the next thing we did is I helped him to go buy the biggest real estate brokerage in town with no money.
Wow.
And he took that over. He's not even a broker. He took that over. He owns it now. He's got 40 agents working for him. He's set up his own commercial division. He's got people all over coming at him, feeding him deals and stuff now. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So I did that. And then earlier this year, I decided I'm going to do more of an affordable group program, for people that want to do commercial lease options. And so that's what's been keeping me busy lately.
Yeah. My newest and most powerful real estate investing book, The Flip System, is now available. And for a limited time, you can grab your free copy at getflipsystem.com/podcast. Using the same proven principles, secrets, and investing strategies I'm sharing in this book, I've been able to personally close over 750 highly profitable real estate deals over the last 15 years, make over 400 private lender loans, raise over $30 million of private money, and acquire over 2,000 units of apartments. Get my newest book now for free for a limited time at getflipsystem.com/podcast. That's getflipsystem.com/podcast. One of the characteristics of great entrepreneurs, real estate entrepreneurs, is that they are resourceful. They're adaptable. They hit a challenge and it's like, that's not going to stop me. I got to find another way to do it. They find another challenge. That's not going to stop me. I got to find another way to do it. Versus other people who are ultimately not successful or just comfortable being in a certain job or being in a corporate world forever, because if there's a problem in those environments, the company is kind of supposed to fix it for you. Versus being an entrepreneur, it's I got to find a way to fix it myself. So I'd love to hear your take on, first of all, you didn't quit, but along this trail, you probably had 3 or 4 or 5 things that kind of pop out, things that are the real lessons for investing in real estate, investing in commercial real estate, being on this path that you're like, okay, if I was my younger former self, these are some things that I would pass along to my children, my grandchildren, or my students, or my younger former self. These are some of the things that I learned about myself and on this trail that I would love to pass along to this audience with Josh. What were some of those things, some bullets that you'd say, like, this is what I really learned about myself that I didn't know when I was younger?
Well, I learned some great stuff and a lot of funny stories and stuff going on.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, there were bears and a moose that kind of came after me, and There was actually one night down in Georgia where 15 medics came to rescue me. That's a whole nother story. Yeah. It's all going in a book. I got it 75% of the way done. It's called Only When I Step on It. I've set that aside to focus on the commercial lease option stuff right now, but I hope to get that book out. But to answer your question, and by the way, is that generator, is that creating noise? I can run over and turn that off if it is.
I hear it. It sounds like a bird. It sounds great. It actually matches your lake in the back. It sounds like it's all good.
So what I've learned and how to compare that to real estate investing, and this is kind of along the lines of if I was to start over again in real estate investing, what 3 things might I do differently?
That's kind of exactly. Exactly.
Number one, I would do commercial and not single family, just because of the reasons we've talked about.
Sure.
Not really any harder to get going in. You're going to end up making more money. You're going to get to where you want to go anyways. You're just going to get there faster. Number 2, I would find a way to learn how to write deals where you have no liability, where you can tie up a property. There's 3 clauses that I recommend that people use that they add into an addendum. One is a good inspection clause, one is an assignment clause, and the third one is a clause that says, if the terms of this addendum conflict with the contract that this addendum is attached to, then the terms of this addendum prevail. Yeah. Where you can take any state contract or the standard commercial purchase contract I provide for my clients, you just attach this addendum to it. We used to staple it years ago. These days it's in a PDF. It's, they're attached on the PDF already, to where the addendum controls the agreement. So you don't have to worry so much about what's in the purchase contract. So for effective date, we say see addendum A, right? And then we list out all the things that need to happen before, the effective date happens, and how many days you're going to get for your inspection, all that in the addendum, which controls it. So big picture is learn one way or another, find a way to have someone show you or figure it out or, whatever. Get comfortable with being able to have the paperwork and documents that you can make an offer on a property that ties it up where you have no obligation whatsoever to move ahead. That takes away the fear of, is this the right building? Do I know the numbers? Do I have to have everything right before I actually get out there and get? Guess what? If it's a great deal, and you don't tie it up right away, someone else is going to get it, right? Yeah.
Good deals go fast, for sure.
The third thing is understanding that you don't have to do these deals all on your own. You were talking about all the pieces of the syndication and the money raisers and the tying in with Reg D and all the stuff that goes along with that. You don't have to know all that stuff. Start off doing maybe some wholesaling some properties, wholesaling some commercial properties. You're going to learn the first part of what you need to know anyways, which is finding deals and evaluating them and tying them up.
Yeah.
And you're going to learn how to go through the process of figuring out, is there really value in this deal? Did you get it right or did you not when you try to wholesale it?
So that is fantastic advice.
Those 3 things, I know that's out of the 30 years of investing, there's so much stuff out there that, I've had a ton of fun over the years doing lease options on houses and stuff like that. And you just got to pick out of the big, tremendous sea of opportunity of real estate investing and say, okay, what part of that am I going to carve out and call that my own and let someone else go out there. I've been interested in the years over, tax lien investing and notes, buying discounted notes and stuff like that. Let someone else have fun with that part of real estate. I'm going to focus on commercial real estate, in particular apartment buildings, ones that we can either flip a contract on or bring an investor in, have the investor give you a chunk of money in exchange for some equity in the deal.
Sure.
Or, find a way to work it like you're doing on one of your deals. I know you told me you've got it structured where you're using investors' money to buy it, but the exit strategy is being able to refinance and pay those investors off,
right?
Give them the return that they expected to get out of it, but where you end up owning the property yourself long term. That is a home run.
Absolutely, all the way. So, Peter, last question, more about on a personal level. I always like to ask my successful entrepreneur friends and mentors and people that I'm around that are entrepreneurs, could be real estate or any other niche. It takes a certain mindset, a certain amount of energy to be a successful entrepreneur. It's definitely a journey. It's more of a marathon than a sprint. There's certainly parts of the process that are a sprint, but you have to have a certain, way that you go about yourself, a certain habits, certain things that you maybe eat, or certain ways that you work out, certain hacks in your personal life that allow you to be the best version of yourself. So I'm always curious to know, what are some things that you do, some hacks of yours, some personal things that you incorporate into your life that allow you to feel like you're being the best version of yourself? What are some things that you incorporate that are maybe personal to you or unique to you that allow you to really live life at a high level?
Yeah, I think one is putting God and family first.
Sure.
When my kids call these days, I drop what I'm doing. I'm fully present with them, even if it's just on FaceTime. I'm fully present with them. I try and do the same thing. I don't always succeed at this, but she'll tell you, but I try and be fully present. When my wife is telling me something, I try and listen to her and really listen and respond and tell me more about that, rather than, we've done this before where you're talking to your spouse and in your head, you're thinking about that deal and how can we structure it. And
Sure.
Right. So I think that's one thing. The other thing, habits are just so powerful when you develop great habits. And part of this hike thing was, when I kind of crashed in Irwin, Tennessee and came home, I was like, I got to figure this thing out. I lost like 10 pounds hiking, but I was like 30 pounds overweight. Mm-hmm. So part of what I realized was, if I lost 30 pounds, that's 30 pounds less that I'm going to have to hike along carrying. That's like having my pack weigh nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to lose this weight. It was like October, and I was going to go back out hiking again in February. And I said, okay, I've got from October to February. I'm going to lose 30 pounds. I'm going to lose 1 pound a week. It took a long time to put this in. I'm not going to expect to do it. That's, I think, a big mistake that people make with their goals, is they have a big goal. They don't want to do it long over time to get the goal. They want to do it, like in tomorrow or, yesterday for free, right?
I want to make $1 million this year.
Yeah. So I plotted that out on Excel, number one. Number two, I weighed myself every day. Number three, I tracked not my weight every day. That's not what I looked at. I looked at my average for the week. So if I had one day where it was, up 3 or 4 pounds, I wasn't going into this, oh my goodness, I'm never going to lose weight. I might as well eat the ice cream, right? Yeah. It was just like, no, I got to stay with it. All I got to do is get my average weight down by another ½ pound this week. I developed good food to have. I start the day with a protein shake. It is it's called Raw Fit protein powder. It's actually made from peas. It's like a
nice plant-based
protein powder. Has some extra coffee beans or something in it that supposedly helps you lose weight. I get that on Subscribe and Save from Amazon, where I get 2 of those every month. So I get a scoop of that, half an avocado, a tablespoon of fiber, because that's just a good way to sneak some fiber in the diet. And get this, a tablespoon of powdered peanut butter. I didn't even know there was such a thing. Powdered peanut butter. It's called like PNB, whatever.
Okay.
All of the flavor of peanut butter with, none of the fat and hardly any of the calories.
Oh, wow.
Pop that in there. I put about 2.5 cups of ice in it, of crushed ice. Sit that on the blender, and I sit it right there. And when I turn that blender on every single morning, I do 100 squats while my blender is grinding up. Then I do like 51 leg squats. But that's called habit linking, where you link one habit to the other. So I don't have to think about, okay, I need to do my squats for today. If I'm going to eat my breakfast, I'm going to do the squats. So my grandkids, they all think it's funny. If you turn the blender on at my grandkids' house, they'll all start doing squats, even, no matter what you're grinding. Right. Squats. So
family workout. Grandpa's got the blender on.
This is great for listeners to hear. Part of an injury like this is you tend to have your good side get stronger and your injured side gets weaker. And by the way, as much as I thought it would fix my leg and be healed completely, by the time I got to Mount Katahdin, I remember I was coming down Katahdin and I met this guy and he goes, "Oh, that is so great." He was telling my story of hiking the trail. He's like, "You just finished hiking the entire Appalachian Trail." He goes, "Congratulations. And you did it with a bum leg," he said. I'm still limping down, And I tell people I'm still walking to Katahdin. It's something I work at every day. Part of that is getting out and learning to walk correctly, to walk upright. I found that when I was pushing the shopping cart in the grocery store, it was easier for me because I had something to hold on to, so I could practice walking correctly up straight, rather than when you do it weird like that, it causes all sorts of muscles to work against each other and causes other problems.
Yeah, right.
And I knew I needed something to hold on to. All I could think of was like a walker, and I did not want to go up and down the street pushing a walker. So what I got, tell me if you like this idea, I got a baby carriage. I figured my grandkids, when they come, I can put them in the baby carriage. And so I tried pushing it, but it was like too light on the front. It's popping wheelies.
Yeah.
So I look in my garage. I need some weight to put in here. What do you think someone who's published 5 books has in his garage? Lots of
leftover books.
Nice. Right? So I took a box of books, put in the baby carriage. I pushed that up and down the street. My son was telling me, "Dad, you should add like a wig and a purse or something to really give the neighbors something to talk about."
Put on, what do they call that? A house coat for those old Italian ladies?
There you go. Maybe a hat with some flowers on it.
Yeah, my wife is 100% Italian, so they all have their house coats. You could walk down the street in one of those.
I've been pushing that.
Oh, man.
That baby carriage up and down the street for a couple years now. And the neighbors, they all come out like, "What are you, delivering packages? What do you got in the box there?"
Oh, it's just crazy, Peter.
But it's a willingness to look completely stupid in order to get what you want. And I think that's a tremendous ability to forget it. Don't worry. That's a lot of people, they worry about, if I start investing in real estate, what if I fail? What are people going to say? If I go out and say I'm going to do this and then I fail, then they're afraid that's like the real them, which is not true. All of us here listening to this, we're all champions. We can all succeed at anything we want to go out at in life. And that's kind of my message. If I can make it hiking that 2,190 mile Appalachian Trail from beginning to end, anything that you want to go after in life, you break it down step by step, you can most certainly do it. Absolutely.
No doubt. That's an amazing message, Peter. I appreciate you sharing that. Listen, as we kind of wrap up here, you've got your book, the How to Profit from Commercial Lease Options. You've got your training, your coaching. Where can people get in touch with you, get a copy of the book, connect with you for mentorship? Where's a good place for people to reach out?
Well, I want to help out everyone on the call here and show you how to do commercial lease options. You can get a free copy on my book, How to Profit with Commercial Lease Options. Just go to petersfreebook.com. And as a listener to the podcast, we'll make that available to you.
Nice.
Depending on what's there, it might either be a free ebook, or I think once we're having them printed right now, you can get the actual book if you just pay the shipping on it. But just go to petersfreebook.com, and that'll give you a great overview, show you how to do it yourself. And if you need any help, our contact information is there as well. So petersfreebook.com.
Fantastic. Peter, listen, this has been an absolute blast. Total honor to have you on the podcast and reconnect with you. I'm so glad that you're healthy. It's been awesome just sharing with you again. I can't wait for my listeners to hear this. Thanks so much for joining us on Accelerated Investor.
Thanks for having me on, and for all of you listening in, thanks for spending some time with us today. It's been great sharing with you. Have a great day.
Hey, Josh here, and do you want to win a free Accelerated Investor t-shirt? All you have to do is give Accelerated Investor, our podcast, Accelerated Investor, a rating and a review on iTunes, okay? Do that now. Then send us a screenshot on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. What we're gonna do then is every week we're gonna pick our favorite rating and review, and we're gonna send that person a free t-shirt and maybe, again, some other cool, fun stuff as well from Accelerated Investors. So, again, don't forget to take a screenshot. Leave a rating, review, take a screenshot, send it to us so we know exactly who you are. And then once a week, every week on the podcast, we will announce a new winner. Don't forget to take a screenshot and send it to us so we know exactly who you are. We'll announce a new winner every week.
You've been listening to Josh Cantwell and the Accelerated Investor Podcast. Leave a comment on our iTunes channel and let us know what you want to learn next or who you'd like Josh to interview. While you're there, give us a 5-star rating and make sure to subscribe so you can be the first to hear new episodes. Follow Josh Cantwell and his companies, Strategic Real Estate Coach and Freeland Ventures, on all social media platforms now, and stay up to date on new training and investment opportunities. To start your journey toward the lifestyle you've always dreamed of, apply for coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com.